Pastor Julian here with Central's Devotion for today. I hope you're doing well. I also want to wish you a very Merry Christmas because this Sunday is Christmas Eve and this coming Monday is indeed Christmas Day. I hope it is a very warm and loving time for you and your family. Maybe spend some time together around the table, eating and reflecting on Jesus in this wonderful holiday where we think about him and what came to fruition in the passage of scripture that we're going to be looking at, that we looked at last week and we're also looking at again this week. And that is John 1:14, which says, "And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory, glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth." So last week we talked about the flesh, the Word becoming flesh and dwelling among us, which means that Jesus, who is God, took on flesh. And the phrase that we used last week from J.R. Briggs was Dios con carne. Instead of chili con carne or fajita con carne, which means chili with meat or fajita with meat, it's Dios con carne, God with meat. He put on flesh and he dwelt among us, not just dwelling, meandering around, but he made his home among the disciples. And he wants to make his home among you. He made his home among the disciples. He moved into the neighborhood. And, John says, and we have seen his glory. Glory as the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. And so we looked at the importance of glory and what that is and how John and the other disciples, they beheld Jesus' glory. They saw it, and they saw it in a very deep and real and tangible way. They were with him, living with him, and they studied him, and it was a clear conclusion to them. This is the Son of God, and we see his glory here. This is God's glory, the full embodiment and imprint of God here on earth in the flesh. And since this week we're going to take a little bit more of a look at how did they see his glory, because it says here in John 1:14, they saw his glory, glory as the only Son of God from the Father, full of grace and truth. Full of grace and truth. They saw the glory in Jesus as the one and only Son of God because he was full of grace and truth. He didn't have grace and truth. He didn't display some grace and truth. No, they studied him and they saw that he was full of grace and truth. He was the full measure of it in the flesh. We look at grace and truth. Well, what are we talking about here? Grace and truth. Grace being the undeserved love of God, the undeserved love and favor of God. And Jesus was full of it. You can see all throughout these passages that he loved and cared for his people, the people of Israel. He cared for even the Gentiles and the Samaritans. He cared even for the sinners which the Pharisees kept at arm's length. But Jesus cared and showed undeserved love and favor to them, trying to bring them back to himself. This was incredibly special in how he demonstrated it and went about it, healing and giving opportunities for redemption to come to God, to be able to be healed and go into temple. It was incredible. And the disciples beheld all of this. Grace and truth. Truth being wisdom, knowledge, revelation. Jesus was fully charged with wisdom and truth and revelation. And that is his standard. God has a standard of truth that he does not vary from. He isn't afraid, oh, I guess I'll allow a half-truth or a little bit of lie. No, God is full of truth. He doesn't waver from that. He doesn't waver from that. And when we do, then that's where his grace covers us. And truly, the Christmas holiday is about just this, that Jesus came into the world in the flesh, in the meat, that he was God, that he dwelt among us, he moved into our neighborhood, and that his glory has been seen, and it is still seen to this day, that he is the Son of God, the one and only, full of grace and truth. We celebrate Christmas. There is nothing that could take that gift away from us. The enemy can do all it wants to do to take that gift away from us. And he can't once we have it. Once we receive Jesus into our lives and he makes a home in our heart, there's nothing that Satan can do to take him away from us. Just as there is nothing that he can do to stop Christmas. God bless you and have a great day.